Hey everyone, Shelisa B here. I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about something that I'm seeing both professionally and personally a lot. Let me know in the comments if you're seeing the same things. Now, I know, of course, we're going through a pandemic and there's a lot of isolation and people haven't had a chance to really hang out normally, professionally or personally for months. What I wanted to talk about is, given all of that, I see people having a harder time than ever connecting. And I know that those things are real and they're affecting it. But I've been really observing a bunch of different things, again, both professionally and personally in different circles. And I have a theory, and let me know what you think about this. So what I've observed is that when people get together and they start talking about topics that aren't light and fluffy, but that are a little bit heavier, where the opinions and the belief systems that people hold tend to come out full force, I think what's happening is that people feel like they're confusing understanding the other person for like agreeing or condoning. And I think whenever I observe conversations happening, I feel like if people take a minute to try to understand the other person's perspective, they are afraid of maybe losing their own perspective. And they're also afraid, that understanding means that they're going to have to agree with the other individual. And that's not at all what understanding means. In order to create connection and real growth, you need to be able to understand the other side. So let me talk a little bit about what that means. So first of all, when you're trying to understand someone else, the first step is to really try hard. This is very hard for most people, but really try hard to silence your own beliefs. Don't listen and get into the conversation in order to justify your own beliefs secretly in your mind or to respond to their beliefs with yours. Understanding really means to silence everything as much as you possibly can. And that's tough, I know. But silence it in order to really understand where they're coming from. Ask a lot of questions. Ask why a ton. Why do you think that way? Where do you think that might have come from? Why would this be your opinion over something like that? And really try to get to just a deeper level of kind of knowledge growth or depth on that other individual. So it's really about kind of the first step is silencing and growing your knowledge on the other individual and asking a ton of questions. Again, knowledge here is about just really getting educated on the other person's perspectives. Now, myself personally, I've sat in rooms where other people have seemingly outrageous opinions about all kinds of things that are very sensitive, right? Whether it's race or culture or religion or gender or any of those things that, to me might feel outrageous. However, even in those moments, like I have to stop myself and go, I need to understand where this is coming from. And I find that very fascinating. I find that conversation very fascinating. I find understanding what has come up in their life and what's their story that has led them to really firmly believe what they believe. Actually, when you get to that point, although you might start out thinking that person's opinion seems like I can't even begin to connect with it, when you start to understand their story, it just becomes really fascinating. In those moments, again, I'm saying virtually nothing. I'm just asking and probing questions into well, tell me more about that. And at the end of it, I really get to a deeper level of understanding. And again, understanding doesn't mean agreeing. And if they're doing things that are not okay, it doesn't mean condoning either. It just means that now I comprehend more than I did before I started this conversation. Now, the really cool thing about doing this is that even though at the end of the day, you may agree to disagree, like now let's say you flipped sides and now they're listening to you. And first of all, once that happens, hopefully they will recognize that you have given them the space and the freedom to speak and they've allowed you to ask questions. And so hopefully that is reciprocated. But at the end of the day, even if that whole entire conversation occurs one way and then the other, and you're sharing, even at the end, if you don't agree still, that's okay. Connection has still already occurred. You can agree to disagree, but you've given each other the courtesy of learning more about each other. And that has created connection instead of division. You can still have connection and not agree if you interact with each other in that way. Now, I've already prompted this, but what I would recommend, if you find yourself in a situation where you really want to understand more, or let's say it this way, if you find yourself in a situation where you're in a conversation and you find that triggering, someone is saying something that's very triggering to you, that is the perfect opportunity for you to go, okay, I remembered Shalisa's video and I am going to try to understand. What I would recommend you do in that moment is you listen first. You ask questions, and you might even preface your conversation with, I really want to understand this in a better way. Are you open to me asking some questions? And I really want to dive deep and figure out why do you feel the way you feel? I want to explore those thoughts with you. So kind of let them know that you're interested in learning more about how they think and where it's coming from, and you be the first person to listen. Mostly because then you are setting the example for when then you share your perspective, that hopefully they will follow suit and provide you with the same courtesy. So that's the video for today, the 60 seconds with Shelisa B. And I think it's gone over 60 seconds, to be honest with you, but it's something that it's really tough for people to do because they get locked in their own minds and locked in their own beliefs. And it then becomes this almost polite kind of battle that can even cause a very subtle division. And the idea here is to create connection. And you can create connection even if you don't agree. So practice that. Again, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have a great day, everyone.